It started with a storm. 3 weeks before the nightmare began, Andre Sua, a 34-year-old black, single father and night shift nurse, found a young woman drenched and shivering beneath a flickering streetlight. Her name was Emma, she said, a college student who had lost her wallet and phone. With no hesitation, Andre offered shelter in his modest 2-bedroom apartment, where he lived with his 7-year-old daughter, Isabella. What began as a single act of kindness turned into a 2-week bond of laughter, chores, and shared dinners. Emma played board games with Isabella, helped cook, folded laundry, and filled the small home with warmth. She left a handwritten thank you note before disappearing. And 3 days later, Andre's life began to fall apart. The call came late at night. The voice on the other end was ice cold. You really thought you could take advantage of my daughter and get away with it? Richard Whitmore, billionaire real estate mogul. And Emma? Her real name was Sophia Whitmore, heiress to a $200 million empire. I'm going to destroy you and your pathetic family, Whitmore spat. As Andre stood frozen in his tiny kitchen, phone in hand, Isabella rubbed her sleepy eyes. Daddy, who are you talking to? He forced a smile. No one important, sweetheart, but inside Andre's heart thundered. Whitmore wasn't just angry. He was vengeful, ruthless, dangerous. The setup the next morning. Andre was summoned to a boardroom at the hospital. We received an anonymous complaint, said the HR director, avoiding eye contact. Then came the flood. Isabella's school blocked. Her cafeteria access. Their apartment lease was suddenly under review. His bank account was frozen. His nursing license suspended. Everywhere he turned, walls were closing in, and then came another call at 2 a.m. This is only the beginning. In a week, you'll be out on the street. Whitmore was dismantling his life, systematically, mercilessly. But what Whitmore didn't know was that Andre had already documented everything: audio recordings, daily logs, every conversation, every thank you from Sophia. Not because he'd been suspicious, but because hospital protocol had turned him into a meticulous record keeper. And now, that habit would save him. The ally dear, Sandra Martinez, a civil rights attorney Andre had once worked with during a workplace discrimination case, showed up unannounced. Whitmore has done this before, she said, slamming files onto Andre's kitchen table. At least 4 times in 5 years. He targets unworthy men who get close to the women in his family, destroys them financially, legally, socially. Andre stared at the documents, then at his daughter coloring in the corner. He picked the wrong man this time. The counterattack, Andre. And Sandra turned his home into a war room. They cataloged every threat, transcribed every phone call, and traced every digital footprint. And then Sophia called. Andre, my father's going to plant drugs in your house tomorrow. I have recordings. I've been documenting him too. The call cut out. But that was all Andre needed. That night, Sandra's team installed hidden cameras, directional mics, and live feeds across Andre's home. At 9:45 a.m. the next morning, Andre sat in a surveillance van with Sandra 3 blocks away, watching it all unfold. 2 men posing as maintenance workers entered the apartment. Let's plant it in the kids' room, kitchen, under the mattress. Everything was recorded, time-stamped, GPS-tracked. Then Whitmore called 911. There's a child in danger. Drugs in apartment 17 on Maple Street. But Sandra had already tipped off internal affairs. Police arrived and caught the fake workers, red-handed, while the live footage streamed to Sandra's legal team, media outlets, and the district attorney's office. The collapse. By evening, federal agents escorted Richard Whitmore out of his skyscraper, cuffed and silent. The charges: conspiracy, evidence tampering, child endangerment, obstruction of justice, and more. The story hit every major news outlet. video clips, audio recordings, bank records. 4 other families joined with similar accusations. And Sophia? She gave her final interview before leaving for Seattle. The 2 weeks I spent with Andre and Isabella were the happiest of my life. That was the first time I understood what family meant. The rebuild 6 months later, Andre sat in a sunlit office, the new headquarters of the Andre Sua Institute for Social Justice. Funded through court-awarded damages and public support, the Institute had already defended 43 families from corporate persecution. Isabella flourished. Her laughter returned. Her drawings hung on the office walls. "Daddy, they wrote about you." Again, the headline. The nurse who took down a billionaire Dr. Martinez, now his legal partner, walked in with news. Whitmore's final assets were seized yesterday. The other families are suing for millions. He's bankrupt. And Oxford just offered you a fellowship to teach your methods. Andre smiled, his eyes on the park where Isabella played. They never expected someone like me to fight back. But I didn't just fight. I outlasted him. The legacy that night, Sophia visited, now going by her mother's surname Morrison. She was studying law. She'd used her remaining inheritance to fund scholarships for victims of legal intimidation. "My father always said people like you weren't worth anything," she said through tears. "But you're the reason I now know he was wrong." Andre hugged her. "Thank you for being brave." Isabella ran in. "Emma." To her, Sophia would always be the girl who played Legos and made pancakes. The quiet victory that night. Andre sat at his desk reviewing the Institute's latest impact report. Over $8 million in damages awarded. 12 corrupt executives prosecuted. Dozens of lives changed. Another call came. CNN requesting an exclusive. He declined. His victory wasn't about headlines. It was about protecting Isabella. He glanced at a photo. A stormy night. A girl on a doorstep, and the choice to open the door. Andre now knew. True revenge isn't destruction. It's building something so powerful, so rooted in truth and justice, that the lies and hate of the rich and ruthless vanish in its shadow. And as Whitmore sat alone in a cold prison cell, forgotten by his children, scorned by the public, Andre kissed Isabella's forehead, turned off the lights, and prepared for another day of fighting for those the world tries to silence, because when good people rise with truth, even empires fall.